Welcome to everyone. This week video will cover the Bitcoin market for the week of December 8, 2025. Before we start, make sure you read carefully the disclaimer. Between the October $126,272 all-time high and the November 21, $80,537 low, the Bitcoin market lost $45,735 or 38.21%. Despite this decline, the Bitcoin market still trading above his cycle trendline, the VTL. Should we expect more decline, or the 18-month cycle low is very close? In this week update, we are going to try to answer to this very important question. Let's see what we can expect for the Bitcoin market for the next few months. Let's start by the 18-month cycle. In my last November 10th update, I mentioned we could expect this 18-month cycle to form his low, around his cycle line by February 2026, at approximately $85,000. Last month the Bitcoin cycle line was at $99,840, and the November median price at $95,830. Since the median price crossed below his cycle line, we have a downside trading signal. The crossing happened at $99,840, providing a potential downside target at $73,408. This target is below the cycle trend line, or VTL. What that's mean for the longer picture? Even if the Bitcoin market reached the $73,408 target, it doesn't mean a very bearish trend for the next 18 months. We have to watch carefully the Bitcoin market reaction if he reached this target. If the Bitcoin rebounds sharply and cross back above his cycle trend line, or VTL, and above his cycle line, the FLD, this will raise the possibility of the 18-month cycle low has formed. If the Bitcoin do not cross back right away above both the cycle line and the cycle trend line and continue his decline, there is a high probability the 126,272 high is the 54-month cycle peak. In this case, we can expect further decline for the Bitcoin market, possibly to the 54-month cycle line, the red line. Since there is a very high probability, the last 54-month cycle low formed in November 2022, and the actual 18-month cycle is the second one from that date, this scenario for now is unlikely, but not impossible. The most probable scenario is the Bitcoin may drop very quickly to his VTL, finding support on it, and maybe go to the $73,408 target. Then rally back very strongly, on his way to the third 18-month cycle peak of this 54-month cycle. It may also miss his $73,408 target, which will be very bullish sign. Now let's see the 40-week cycle. For this cycle, on my last update, I was expecting the Bitcoin market to cross below his cycle line during the formation on this cycle low, scheduled for mid-January 2026. On the same week of my update publication, the Bitcoin market crossed below his cycle line at $103,800, providing a potential $81,328 downside target, $22,472 or 21.64% decline. On the following week, on November 21st, the Bitcoin market formed an $80,537 low, crossing below his cycle trend line, the VTL. Confirming the $126,272 high is at least an 18-month peak. The first 40-week cycle in April 2025, since the August 2024 18-month cycle, was 35 weeks long, shorter by 3.9 weeks from the Hurst nominal model. From there is two possibilities for the actual 40 weeks. If the second 40-week have the same length than the first one, we can expect this 40-week low to form on the second week of December. The second possibility is to maintain the Hurst nominal average of 38.9 weeks. The second 40-week cycle should be 42 weeks long and should form as low during the third week in January. With two positive trading signal out of three, the 40-week cycle have a 66.66% of success rate. The 20-week cycle. As mentioned in my last month update, the previous 20-week cycle formed his low on the week of September 1st, forming this 20-week peak on the October 6th week. The week later, the Bitcoin crossed below his cycle trend line, confirming the $126,272 is at least the 40-week cycle peak. But by analyzing the 40-week cycle, we have also the confirmation the peak is a major peak. The last 20-week peak was 21 weeks long, little bit longer by almost 2 weeks than the Hurst nominal model, which is 19.48 weeks. Applying the same length for the actual 20-week, the low should form on the 3rd week of January. January is an important month for the potential low formation of this major low. With 3 positive signal and 0 negative signal, the success rate is 100%. As a reminder, the success rate refers to the accuracy of the Bitcoin market in meeting or exceeding its targets, based on price movements crossing its cycle line or FLD. These crossings can occur on either the upside or downside. The 80-day cycle. This cycle is an important cycle to follow for the short-term traders. I personally placed the last 80 cycle on November 21st. This 80-day cycle is 81 days long, is a little bit long for an 80-day cycle. But not impossible. Just as a reminder, on the Hurst nominal model the average length for the 80-day cycle is 68 days. But this is not uncommon in bear or downtrend to have longer cycles than the Hurst nominal model. Usually in the bull trend the cycle have tendency to run shorter, and in bear trend they usually run longer. After his November 21st low, as expected, the Bitcoin rebounded and crossed above his 20-day cycle line. The crossing occurred on December 2nd at $88,068, for a potential upside $95,600 target. On December 9th, the Bitcoin market should form his first 20-day low. Technically at that time the Bitcoin should form his low on his 20-day cycle. The 20-day cycle line will be around $91,000 on December 9th. Indeed, at the time of the next 20-day cycle low formation, it is very important the Bitcoin market finds support on his 20-day cycle. If he crosses sharply below it, then we can expect further decline. Perhaps the $73,408, the 18-month target. Knowing where he will form his first cycle low since the November 21st will be crucial for the rest of the trend. This will be a very important sign to see of how much bearishness left in the Bitcoin market. If the actual 80-day cycle follow the Hurst nominal model, then we expect a low during the last week of January 2026. If he have the same length than the first one, then we can expect the market forming a low in mid-February. But very often when a cycle is long, a shorter one follow, to match the Hurst nominal model. If that is correct, then we can expect a low for mid-January 2026. A crossing above his 80-day cycle line will be an important signal, indeed, since there is 8 80-day cycle in an 18-month cycle, and since the actual one is the last one. According to the Hurst rule of synchronicity, any sharp crossing above his 80-day cycle line will confirm the 18-month cycle low is formed and the Bitcoin will start a new bull trend. Since the beginning of the year, the 80-day cycle have 7 positive signal and 1 negative, have an 87.5% success rate. The 40-day cycle. Since the last 40-day cycle was on November 21st, we can expect the next one to form on December 25th. Technically the peak for this cycle is expected to form on December 10th. But since the trend is down, there is a very high probability the market form his peak before that date. A crossing above his cycle line will provide a potential upside target, but also will be the first sign of some bullish trader are back to the Bitcoin market. This is possible to occur, but it is unlikely for now. I believe is little bit too early for this happening. I personally expect the Bitcoin market cross above his 40-day cycle line between end of January and 3rd week of February 2026. At that time a crossing above his cycle line will be the first sign of the 18-month low May has formed. With 9 positive trading signal out of 10 since the beginning of the year, the success rate of the 40-day cycle is 90%. In conclusion, in summary, the Bitcoin market is at a critical juncture, with multiple cycle lows potentially forming between now and February 2026. The most probable scenario suggests Bitcoin may decline to its VTL or possibly the $73,408 target before rallying strongly. Key dates to watch include December 9th for the 20-day cycle low, and mid-January through February for the 18-month cycle low formation. The market's reaction at these support levels will determine whether we've seen the bottom or if further decline awaits. For detailed analysis, visit tradingmarketcycles.com. If you found this helpful, please like and share this video and subscribe for weekly trading insights. Thanks for watching and see you next week.